Let's go to California. We have Peter Hernandez. Peter is running in California 18. Peter, you wrote a great piece that I wish Joe Biden would read. I think it was on Townhall about wokeism is not Latino, wokeism is not Hispanic. Walk us through that. If you had a chance to tell Joe Biden something before he made his speech, because he's coming at you, Peter, and saying, hey, you've been hoodwinked by these white nationalists. You're just part of a semi-fascist movement. So tell us about. We got about a minute before we go to break. Give me the headlines of your piece in Townhall.
Well, the basic elements of my article has to do with, one is the grievance culture, the sentiment that somehow you have to use your minority status as more as a place of being downtrodden instead of something to be proud of. You should actually be, to a certain extent, ashamed because you're looked down upon. And the reality is of the Latino culture, it's 100% the opposite. We're proud of where we came from. We're proud of who we are. And we don't need anybody to make excuses for us. We're ready to work. We're hardworking people. And I would say the other element is just the confusion, right? The folks that try to supplant terminologies where now you can't even define genders, and the confusion is supposed to be something that we just adopt. It's not even within our language, right? I mentioned in the article that the language is specific to terms that are male and female, right? So we don't like confusion in any form. I don't think any culture likes it, but definitely not in the Latino culture. We're proud of the fact that there's specific terms in our language that reference clarity, right? So I mentioned in the article also that I grew up as a kid where my mom actually told me, "Hablan cristiano."
I tell you, Peter, I want to hold that story. I want to hold that story till we get back. We're going to take a short break. Welcome back. We got Peter Hernandez. We're also going to have Vernon Jones. We got Jim Bognett in Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Vernon Jones in Georgia. Peter, finish the story about your mom. I think this thing is very illustrative. So tell us the story about your mom.
So my mother, God bless her soul, she had obviously a lot more wisdom than I did as a kid, and she made it clear. She wanted us to remember where we came from. She wanted us to secure our language, our Latino or Spanish language. You know, she knew growing up in America, I would speak English, I would speak the universal language in this country. So she wanted to make sure that when I spoke in my home, I only spoke Spanish because she didn't want me to forget. So she would tell me, "Hablan cristiano," and she'd use a nice, colorful word after that because she would catch me at times speaking in English, and she would, get upset at me. And she wasn't trying to stop me from speaking English. She just wanted to make sure that I secured, that I remembered where we came from. So the long and short of it all is once she told me after the fact, she's like, "You have to understand, son, that we have a very clear language. There's a lot of terms that are not just male and female, but they're specific, right? They give clarity to language, they give clarity to expression, and ultimately it creates an opportunity for good dialogue and obviously a tradition and a culture that makes us proud just the same." So she emphasized that, and it basically reminded me is clarity is a part of who we are, just the same as our culture and our background, and she was proud of that, and so am I. It's something that now being able to dialogue in both languages, in Espanol and Inglés, I'm proud of the fact that I can articulate, I think, even more clear than some of my progressive friends.
What Biden is going to say tomorrow is that the entire Hispanic and Latino community should be progressives and big government progressives like himself. Give me a minute or two of what would be your counter argument to him for the Hispanic and Latino community.
Progressivism has nothing to do with progress. It has to do with failure. It has to do with making excuses and actually avoids the reality of what success looks like, right? You don't build a foundation on a shaky ground, right? When the ground under you is basically very unstable, if we can't even speak to one another, wokeism in and of itself, the grievance culture, they want reparations, they want all these, it's like looking in the past and basically regretting instead of looking to what you could have learned and grown up. And in the Latino culture, we haven't had an easy life. Things are hard, right? There's a lot of minorities that they have struggled in this new country. But just the same, I know so many success stories because they took, the culture itself wouldn't allow itself to make excuses for itself. And we found ourselves very, very proud of not just the fact that we've built businesses, been part of the innovative and the entrepreneurial spirit of this country, which the progressive mindset is looking to to actually restrict, right? If you think about the regulatory process that's restricted minority communities from being successful, instead of creating opportunity, all they do is create literally not just a grievance culture, but a culture that's dependent. And that dependency element has destroyed our minority communities.
Peter, you're in a very tough race out there, and California's a tough state for MAGA right now. Although I keep saying we got to take California back. How do people get to you on social media, and how they get to your website to find out more about you and more about this campaign you're mounting?
So my website is hernandezforcongress.com. Just remember, I'm the brown and proud taco eating Republican. So I'm gonna, you're gonna be able to get a hold of me through my social media norms. Also, I have at Hernandez for Congress on Instagram and at Hernandez CA18 on Twitter. So please call me and reach out, donate. This is a very heavy race, Democrat, but it was definitely made for a Latino, but Democrat, but they got the Latino, but they didn't get the Democrat in this race.
What we got is a fighter, and that's what we wanted. Peter Hernandez, honored to have you on here, sir. Great piece in Townhall. We're going to get it up on the Warroom site.
Appreciate it. God bless you.